Every baby should be able to feed comfortably. So if they're not feeding comfortably, we need to ask, why not? If you feel your baby is more unsettled than you think they should be, they probably are. But there's a lot more. We can't just say, if this is happening, do that. We need to get the full picture, always.
Welcome to The Birth Experience with Labor Nurse Mama. I am Labor Nurse Mama, and today's guest is the baby reflux expert. Áine is a leading holistic infant reflux, colic, and digestive discomfort expert with a background in traditional Chinese medicine and nutrition. She has combined both her expertise and being a mom of 2 babies with reflux. And what sets her apart is that she doesn't just teach parents how to manage the symptoms, she helps them understand why their baby is uncomfortable in the first place. She has supported thousands of families worldwide, challenging the outdated belief that reflux is normal or something babies simply have to outgrow. Her approach looks at the whole baby. She also trains professionals through her diploma in infant reflux, equipping practitioners with a deeper evidence-based framework to support families. This episode is going to be incredible, so listen for sure, especially if you've ever been told this is just how babies are. Áine, I've already introduced you to everyone, but I am so excited to have you. You know, when we met inside the Sold Out Offer Challenge, I was just so blown away by what you do and the outcomes you get. So I'm so happy that you're here, and I'd love you to tell everyone. I kind of know what brought you here, but tell everyone how you ended up so passionate about reflux of all things.
Yeah, well, I didn't plan it at all, as the best things in life are. 13 years ago, I became a mom, and like everybody, expected my life to change. However, my life changed beyond recognition. I had a baby who could not lie down, who would not be out of my arms, who fed for half an hour, every hour and a half, no matter what I did, and then screamed all evening, every evening. You know, we had official diagnosis of colic, which when she didn't grow out of it after the magic 12 weeks, it's like, oh, it might be silent reflux. And it just went on because I was like, well, what do we do? They're like, she'll grow out of it. And I could not bring myself to accept that my child, who was screaming every day, telling me she was in pain, I just couldn't accept that that was anyway normal. And I had studied Chinese medicine and acupuncture prior to this, of which one of the core teachings is that if somebody is experiencing something, it is true. So for me, I started then to, you know, when other people couldn't ask me or couldn't answer, why is she in pain? Why is she crying constantly? I went back on what I did really well, which is my engineering degree, which is figure out the pattern. And I tracked everything for months. By the time she was 9 months old, I realized she had a cow's milk protein allergy, which changed a lot, but not everything. And then she was eventually, I think she was around 11 months old by the time I had drastically cut my diet. I was eating 3 foods a day. I will never share those with anybody because we don't need to be that strict. But I had a child who was sleeping.
I don't know that many people could do that, honestly.
Well, every time I tried formula, it made our life even worse than it was. You know, when we introduced solids, things got even worse. I'm like going, this can't be my life. Like, I just couldn't feel that it was normal. And then I started to realize there's a lot of people out there living this silent hell because it's not recognized. Well, that's normal. Long story short, my engineering background drove me down this field of figuring it out. There has to be an answer. Got the answer for my eldest daughter when she was about 18 months old. That was well into the depths of despair. My second daughter came along 11 years ago, and she had a whole different suite of issues. I'm like, well, I know what I'm doing if she has reflux. And she had reflux, and I had no idea what I was doing because she actually had a tongue tie. And then she had sulfite allergies and mild nut allergies and a whole lot of other things to go, hey, Mom, there's more stuff to learn before you preach this to the world. And then it was a sleep consultant I was working with a few years later who said, you know so much, you need to write a book. She planted a seed, and I'm like, okay, here we are. Like, I've been doing it for 10 years or more.
That's a long time.
It is. I know this inside out and upside down.
Yeah. And I love so much that what you bring is that you understand where these moms are, because it's lonely when you're navigating something like that and everyone in your life is saying, just deal. Like there is no answer.
Yeah, it's incredibly lonely. It's incredibly isolating. Personally, I lost a lot of friendships because I didn't feel like I could go out. I didn't want to bring my kids to somebody else's house with their new sofa and their new carpet and put vomit all over it. I was
Yeah.
embarrassed that I couldn't calm my baby. I was embarrassed that I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't feed her and her be nice and happy and easy to burp like everybody else's kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to shame myself for not being a good mom. You know, it became horrifically self-loathing. You know, I ended up with a relationship with postnatal depression for 3 years because of the spiraling loops inside my head,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody outside me said, this is normal, it's fine. You're
Yeah.
being too sensitive, you know, you need to let them cry it out. You need to do this, that, and the other. And the truth is, I needed to do what I was doing, which was listening to my child and holding her and giving them both the support they needed, because in the way that I couldn't take away their pain at the time, simply being there, I know I created that safe space for them. You know, it's like when an older kid falls over in the playground and they hurt their knee. You know, you can't take away the pain of the cut knee, but you don't abandon them. You're
Mm-hmm.
there, you're consoling them, you're letting them know that you're there for them.
Yeah.
That was,
And I can't even like wrap my mind. My daughter just had a baby, so we've got, our little sweet one, and I just can't imagine just leaving her in pain to deal on her own.
yeah.
Like that is baffling to me. Baffling to me. So, what I really would love to do, because we have so many new moms listening and so many moms about to enter this journey. So, what I would love to start with is for my pregnant moms.
Mm-hmm.
Are there anything that you recommend that they watch out for at the beginning? And then we'll talk about some steps that moms who might be dealing with this can do. And then we'll talk about the ways in which you can help them as well. So let's start with pregnant moms. Like, is there any like pre-education they can do for themselves?
Yeah, I actually have an antenatal course for moms. I think it's like £30, but we can start. I will have to say, we can never totally prevent reflux and say we can guarantee it won't happen, because
Right.
there's over 30 things that can cause it. So,
well, I was thinking more of what they can watch out for.
yeah. So actually, when baby's born, just tune into your own innate knowledge. So if you feel like, you know, your baby's not able to lie down or stay asleep for 20 minutes or more, then question that. It's
Mm-hmm.
not because they're a newborn. Newborns are designed to be able to rest. Now, it's not as easy to say it's straight up reflux. It might just be that there's been a very stressful birth. And so there's a whole load of, you know, stress hormones
Trauma.
circulating in mom and baby's bodies, which can present as reflux for some. It could be some birth interventions that it's not that birth interventions don't have their place. They absolutely do. But it's knowing how to support mom and baby after them to make sure, like, for example, with a von Tusser forceps delivery, that baby's head has been mechanically, you know, forced.
Squeezed. Yeah.
Yeah. They've been squeezed more than they otherwise would have been.
Yeah.
And usually it's done for safety to get baby out. And I understand all that. These are necessary procedures. However, baby's head doesn't always go back where it's supposed to go. And so we can leave trauma and bruising on the head. So this is where booking in with a body worker, like a really good chiropractor or osteopath, 2 or 3 weeks after birth, they can see where baby's head is readjusted to and then support further. You know, it's listening to your own sense. If you feel your baby is more unsettled than you think they should be, they probably are.
Yeah.
You know, but there's a lot more. We can't just say, if this is happening, do that. We need to get the full picture always, because there's so many people out there guessing, going, try this, hold baby this way, feed them that way, feed them this milk, change to this formula, blah, blah, blah. And ultimately we are guessing and throwing darts in the dark. And we've got no idea whether it's going to work or not. when we take a few minutes to really help a child understand or help a parent what's going on for their child, we can nail exactly what's going on. So for pregnant moms, it's really, you can prepare yourself by knowing what to look for. You know, even getting my free symptoms tracker, it'll have the list of symptoms there, and you can go, oh, hang on,
You already know them.
I read that before. My baby's got more of these than I thought they would have. Because yes, every baby cries.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always other symptoms going on with a baby who's got reflux or silent reflux.
So now we've got a mom who has a baby, and she is thinking, I know there's something more going on.
Yeah.
Maybe she hasn't been told it could be reflux. Maybe she hasn't even sought her doctor yet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk to that mom.
Yeah. So, well, actually, it's, first of all, trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what somebody else says, if you think that your baby is crying more than they should be, or they're more than unsettled than you think they should be, they probably are. The first thing to do is to not panic, because when we wind ourselves up with worry and panic, we actually create stress in our body, which our babies, for the first 3 years of their life, they regulate their nervous system by proximity, not by their own breath. So rather than spiral out of control, bring awareness to, okay, hang on, I'm worried that something might be there. Do really simple things like lean on your breath. You know, whether you're into deep breathing, it doesn't really matter. Something you can do straight away is start singing to your baby. Because when we sing, we take a big deep inhale and then we let it out really slowly, which is an excellent breathing technique to calm the whole body.
Yeah.
And when you're holding your baby, if you do this breathing or sing to them when you're calming yourself, you will automatically calm them. So what we want to do is make sure it's not just stress and the worry of, oh my goodness, I'm now in charge of another human life. What do I do?
Yeah, which is a lot.
It can be quite scary on its own.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you take the time, first of all, to regulate your own nervous system, you know, that age-old recommendation that none of us actually manage, which is sleep when baby sleeps.
Yeah, which is not as easy. Yeah.
It's not as easy. It's not as easy said as done. But to take your time, take some breaths, do some singing, talk to your baby. When we use our voice, we also activate a parasympathetic nervous system, so it calms us down. So bring your calm to yourself. And if you're lucky enough to have a grandparent around, or an aunt or a friend or somebody else who wants to come and hold baby, use them.
Yeah.
Because typically, and I remember I got so jealous of my own mom, because I remember giving her my daughter, and all of a sudden Sunflower was asleep on my mom. Yeah. And I was so jealous, going, how can you get my baby to sleep? She's supposed to be my child. I'm supposed to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Hindsight tells me my mom really could not care less whether she slept or she didn't. She was just a calm human breathing body for my baby to lie on. Yeah. And because Sunflower's nervous system regulated by proximity, she's like, oh, the stressed one's gone. I'll do what this one's doing.
Yeah, this one's calm.
This one's calm, I'll sleep.
Yeah.
And so lean on those people, get the support. It's okay to ask for help and to take it when it's available.
Yeah, and I love what you said, is to remember that this person coming in is not better than you. They're coming in with a fresh, full night's sleep. They haven't just stretched their vagina out to accommodate a human, or had a C-section, or their boobs aren't leaking, their bottom feels fine, and they're walking in with just excitement and joy and calm, where it says nothing about you as a mom. Because I've felt that way before when I was a young mother, and thinking, what the hell am I doing wrong? They should be like happy, happiest with me. Like everything in the movies or the TV is like, everybody else baby cries with, mom baby is calm. And when that doesn't play out, when you have a child that has something else going on or not, it does make you really question yourself. Until you've had like 4 or 5, then you're like, fine, I'm happy the baby's with you. I'm going to go do my own thing right for a moment, So just keep in mind that. I love that you brought that up. So what would you say? Are there predictable, I mean, I know there's such a wide range, but are there some like signs that if a mom came to you and she's like, A, B, and C is going on in your gut right away, you're like, this is reflux?
Yeah. So any child who spits up regularly, that's reflux. In the UK.
Not just a spit up child, baby, because I hear that that's just normal.
Yeah, I don't agree with
even if they're not miserable.
Would you be happy, Trish, if you bought
just
your morning coffee?
Yeah.
And 10 minutes later, you're like, what?
No, I would not. Yeah. When you phrase it that way.
You paid for that caffeine. You want the caffeine hit.
Yeah. You paid for that booby. You want that. Yeah. You want to keep it.
Exactly. There's some misinformation out. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's always a reason a child spits up regularly. Okay. So it doesn't necessarily mean we have to take action, but we don't know if we need to take action until we understand why it's happening.
Okay.
It could be because they're literally overfilling their stomachs, and when the stomach churns, there's no space left in it, so it gives out some of the milk. For that, you reduce the milk size, because a child who's spitting up regularly and growing appropriately, gaining weight, all that extra milk that they're spitting up, they're not getting the nutritional benefit from it. So let's not give it to them in the first place. Mm-hmm. This is some of the smaller feeds more frequently. Well, maybe it's just a smaller feed. Mm-hmm. Because not every baby needs to be fed the exact amount on the tin. We don't measure how much breast milk a baby's getting, but we measure on formula, as opposed to trusting that baby knows when they feel full. It's a huge gift to give our children for them to recognize their hunger signals and to keep that going throughout life for them. So any baby who spits up regularly, that is reflux.
So not on occasion, regularly is the key.
Yeah, regularly is the key.
Yeah.
On occasion, you can still understand it. Like, it might be that they've cried so much, they've had a crying bout, they've absolutely wailed, they've put loads of air into their tummy, so we put milk on top of it. It's now over full, like a balloon ready to explode. Somebody squeezes it, because the stomach squeezes and churns to mix the milk within it. But unlike a balloon, the stomach doesn't explode. It just pushes the contents back up. So there's always patterns. There's always reasons why something happens. Always. It's understanding what that reason is, then gives us the information going, what do you want to do about this? It could be a baby using their pacifier. They're drinking air with that. Again, not necessarily no pacifier use, but it might be more conscientious pacifier use.
Okay.
It could also be oral function, oral dysfunction. It could be trauma from birth. It could be digestive discomfort. It could be too hungry and the feed spacings are wrong. Like, it could be so many things. But when a baby spits up, that is reflux. When we see inability to stay asleep, babies should be able to knit more than a sleep cycle together from very, 1 to 2 weeks old. Yeah. And a sleep cycle should be about 40 to 45 minutes. Thereabouts. When we see babies waking up with movement, like wriggling in their body, while the medics will very often call it silent reflux if it doesn't have vomiting with it. You might also get it called purple crying. They might also call it colic. But they'll basically say, we don't really know why it's happening. The reason it's happening is digestive discomfort in the lower gut. Babies wriggling and writhing, they're kicking their legs, pulling them in and out. They're pointing, their body is telling us where the discomfort is. And then it's our job to read, well, why is that discomfort there? So again, that comes into the remit of what I do, is looking at the entire digestive system. And babies who cry lots when their needs have been met, when they're not hungry, when they've had a sleep, and when they have mom or dad near, the basic needs of love, food, shelter, and rest. Yeah. If they're met and baby's still screaming, we've got to go, there's probably something going on inside their body for them. And they're just asking for help.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because I've had 3 of my children that have had like digestive issues, 2 of whom I knew nothing. Now I know so much. But one common thread, and this is a weird one, okay? Are you okay with weird questions?
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
They had the stinkiest gas I have ever smelled in my life. Is that connected? Like, I called it man gas, not baby gas.
Yeah, I know.
And they were just breastfed. And I'm like, what? Like, that was one of my first signs, but I didn't connect that until I had Grayson, which I had Grayson, at 42,
Yeah.
already a birth expert. So is there a connection to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's happening for smelly gas, because you can have unsmelly gas and it sneaks out and you're like, got away with that one. And you can have
Yeah.
the smelly gas and you're like going, oh no, we need to leave the room now.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my son.
That was the dog. That was the dog.
Yeah.
The two of them are very different. The non-smelly gas is air that has been consumed through the stomach, doesn't pick up any smells, and then it gets pushed through the stomach into the small intestine, and it has a long way out. It just, once it goes through the stomach, it's not coming back up.
Okay.
Gas that is smelly is not consumed, is caused by fermentation of something in the human's diet. And it doesn't matter what age that child or adult or grandparent is. Smelly gas is fermentation. And it's smelly because of the gut microbiome balancing with whatever it is in this case, the milk that's been fermenting. So, for example, what I see a lot is that babies, they're born with no ability to digest complex carbs. None whatsoever. So all carbohydrate digestion from a breastfeeding mom needs to be done pre-baby getting the milk. Okay. Because breast milk is made from what's in our blood. Blood, funny enough, picks up all the nutrients from our gut and other places in our body. It strips our bones and other beautiful things to get calcium.
Yeah.
If we're not putting enough into the system, it strips us for the minerals. So if when we're eating, we're overly stressed, then our digestive system doesn't work as well. And molecules of food, and you're not going to analyze breast milk and find a cornflake in it.
Right.
But you'll get long chains of carbohydrates. So if they're not broken down properly before they get into the breast milk, then baby doesn't have the ability to break them down. So they ferment and they produce this gas as a byproduct.
So I was stressed.
You were either stressed or you might have been eating more carbs than your body was able to digest at any particular time. Or you might have thought you were fine, but if you were eating on the go because you had other kids to look after, our digestive system doesn't work perfectly like that.
Yeah. If you're pregnant and feeling overwhelmed, unsure about what really matters for birth, or hoping it all just goes well, this is for you. Most parents don't realize that it isn't effort, it's preparation that actually builds confidence. The Calm Birth Bundle closes that gap. It walks you through labor, birth, and your options in a clear, calming way. So you're not guessing in the moment or relying on someone else to decide for you. The goal isn't a perfect birth. It's a confident one. Right now, as a podcast listener, you can take $50 off with the code POD50. Go to labornursemama.com/calm, CALM. Get prepared, feel grounded, and go into your birth knowing you've done your part. Well, I know with Grayson it wasn't carbs because I ate very low carbs, but I was definitely stressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is for sure. I was living in a hotel with 9 of us.
Wow.
Yeah, for 10 months.
Yeah, that's going to stress anybody out.
And he did have the milk soy protein allergy. But okay, so let's go back. So mom is noticing that baby is spitting up regularly. And then number 2, I've gotten myself confused. Number 2 was...
Well, they might have some digestive discomfort or they might...
Oh, yeah, that's right. They're waking up wiggling. And then 3 is they're crying and you're not, you've done all the things, but you just can't console them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what would be the next steps? Because I want to lead into what you do and how you do it and how they can find you. So what would be the next step for these moms? Like, don't mess around with it, right?
I don't mess around. I don't bother. I never, and this is the challenge I have, is there is nobody else out there who does what I do. There's no one else. You can gather all the symptoms. And if you bring them to a doctor, as many of my past clients have done, and they're like, look, my baby's got all these symptoms. And the doctor goes, yeah, whatever. It's reflux.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, let's just not even mess around with it.
You take the time, and the time is 15 minutes. You record,
which is not much.
It's not. All of your baby's symptoms. Now, most parents out there don't even know what symptoms are related to reflux. So this is why I have my symptoms tracker is free. It's the
Mm-hmm.
full list of everything you need to be looking at to put this puzzle together. Right. So imagine doing a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. The medics they've thrown away the box and they haven't bothered to turn the pieces with the picture side up. So they're trying to
Yeah.
put things together. It's not impossible to do the jigsaw like that, but it's very difficult.
So you're talking about the medical professionals. Here for us, when we say medics, it's usually the people that work on an ambulance, like
Oh,
come to a
sorry.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Healthcare
I'm
professional.
just, for the rest of my listeners, we're talking about when you go to your doctor or your pediatrician or whoever, the professionals in the medical industry.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're doing the jigsaw without reference and
Right.
throw it together.
Which we all know you can't do.
Yeah. It's been tried and tested millions of times. It's still not working.
Yeah.
Even though they don't have anything else to offer. So it's not the doctor's fault. They haven't been trained in this. So what I do first is I help you gather all the pieces of the puzzle together first, because you can't put a jigsaw together if you don't have the pieces.
Right.
Hence, that's the symptoms tracker. So I give you this long list of, does your baby have these things? And if so, how frequently do they have them? Because if I was to ask you, hey, Trish, did Grayson ever have hiccups?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go through all of those. Yeah.
But every child has hiccups.
Right.
It's different as to whether they have them once a week or 4 times a day.
Yeah.
So we need to know the frequency of symptoms as well.
Okay.
So we go through all of that. And now I've built a tool. My brain basically puts all this together and goes, right, based on all these symptoms, and this is my pattern analysis genius, like hidden in the back of my brain somewhere, is able to look at that and go, oh, hang on. You see this group of symptoms here from how your baby feeds? Well, that's like a little pink piece on the jigsaw. And this bit of how they use their pacifier, that's also connected to this. So we put a few pieces together. And when you've got a few pieces that go together, you're able to put your reference back to your jigsaw puzzle and go, that's where they go. So this is where we go for the cause of what's causing a child's discomfort or pain or reflux, whatever it is. And only when we know the cause do we then go, this is what you do to solve that. So, everybody else, you Google baby reflux, you Google silent reflux, you'll get a million blogs telling you the top 10 things you haven't yet tried, or the best carriers for reflux, and, hold your baby this way and dangle them upside down for 3 days and do all these things. Don't dangle your baby upside down for 3 days.
But you'll disclaimer.
You'll get all sorts of hold them upright, feed them this way, feed them that way. There's no point doing any of these when they don't address the underlying cause. Every baby should be able to feed comfortably. So if they're not feeding comfortably, we need to ask, why not? Every baby should be able to keep their milk down. So if they're not, we need to ask, why not?
Yes.
And, if, for example, it's a cow's milk protein allergy comes out as the cause of the reflux, well, changing their bottle isn't going to help that. Or, changing how you feed them isn't going to help that either. So this is where I see so many parents and babies on amino acid milks that don't have cow's milk protein allergy, but they've actually got birth trauma that's living in their body, or they've got oral dysfunction going on that hasn't been addressed and supported properly. So it's always about gather the pieces of the puzzle, figure out what they mean, take the right action.
I love that so much. So now for these moms, we've already talked about your tracker, and we are going to link that in the show notes as well. But tell them what the next steps working with you looks like. Like, where can they find you? And I absolutely love, one thing I love about you is you give a pretty strong promise.
Yeah. So
of what you guys can do.
Yeah. Well, within 15 minutes. So everybody, it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody starts with my symptoms tracker, even my highest paying private clients. Because if we don't know what's going on for your child, we don't know what's going on for your child. We need the detail. So that is the starting point, regardless of how baby's drinking, regardless of what they're drinking or eating or what age they are. That's where we start.
Okay.
And that's why that's my most valuable freebie for everybody. Now, once you complete that online, you get your symptoms tracker email to you. If you want, you can upgrade that to the Reflux Reveal, which will tell you why your baby has reflux. It'll go right from this is why your baby has reflux. the next step from that is the reflux roadmap, which is what you need to do and how you need to do it, and all the ability to rerun this report multiple times as your baby grows. When you start weaning and things go a little bit crazy, or, you know, they've had their fourth round of vaccinations and things gone a little bit weird again. So how do we support them through this so things don't go off track? So it's support from birth to 2 for any child who's got reflux. And then if any parent wants to upgrade, I run clinics every 2 weeks, or I have one-to-one calls where I do 90-minute, really, really in-depth explanation to parents of what their baby's body is telling them, what their specific answers should be, and how they implement these solutions for them. Like, we can get really, really detailed. So depending on the level of support anybody wants, it's always available.
I love that so much. And what I really love is that you're giving them easy to follow steps, because when you're in that, you're so overwhelmed and you don't want vague answers. You don't want like, you know, like wait and see. Here's things you can do.
Yeah.
And that's also what I love so much.
What's most important is if you follow these steps, you will see changes. The fastest changes I've had with a client was they're a Canadian family. I had the call at 2 p.m. in the afternoon with them, and I basically said, "Oh, you're having breakfast, stop eating." It's like, stop eating that porridge, put it down. I don't know everything yet, but I know you shouldn't be eating porridge. So mom and 9-month-old daughter, stop eating right now. And they're like, what? And I'm just like going, what have you got in the fridge? Go have some avocado and banana and something else.
Yeah.
Then we did the consultation, and I woke up the next morning to a litany of text messages going, what have you done? What have you done? What's happened? And I'm kind of reading this list of messages, and they're like, she's been asleep for 3.5 hours. She's never slept for more than half an hour. We're now worried. We're worried something's happened to her, but she's really happy and sleeping.
Yeah. That reminds me of when I first had Lainey, and I had heartburn my whole pregnancy. And then I woke up the day after I had her and had no heartburn. And I was convinced something was terribly wrong. And then I realized, oh, wow, that's gone. So I can totally appreciate when you become so used to that thing, that's what you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I do promise not every parent will get changes that quick, but we do see positive, measurable changes within 3 days, so that we know it's the right thing to be doing. And I also think it's really important that all my clients understand why things are presenting, because it gives them the ability to make really informed decisions for their child. You know, I've always seen myself as a custodian of my children's health until they're old enough to look after it themselves. And so I just want to be able to make the best decision. And when I get new information, I change my mind, you know, but I'm very, very much about explaining to parents, this is what's going on. This is why it makes sense to do that. So it's not just blindly following instructions from some stranger on the internet. It's, this is what's going on. Therefore, this is what I recommend. This is what you should expect. Very much so.
And you're empowering them to move forward.
Absolutely.
And to own that. I love that so much. So tell everyone, before we get done, tell everyone where they can find you.
Well,
and we will link.
Yeah, cool. Instagram's my favorite hangout, which is Baby Reflux Lady at Instagram. I am the Baby Reflux Lady on Facebook, and my website is thebabyrefluxlady.co.uk.
I love it. So easy. You know, I love that.
You just Baby Reflux Lady, just Google that and you'll find me.
I love it so much. Thank you so much for coming today. Okay, so I have one question for you. Okay. If we were to ask you, what is your like what's something really weird about you? Tell me.
Ooh.
What's something weird about you?
I mean, there's loads weird about me.
I knew I liked you. That's why I like you so much. Yes. Okay, so what's something fun, weird that we can share?
To choose from. Well, so weird. I was scared of what my mum would think, that I waited till I was 45 to get my hair dreaded.
Okay. I think we talked about this before. I think you told me that.
We might have.
Isn't it funny when we're 45 and we're worried about what our moms will think?
And we finally go, I don't care what she thinks. She lives in a different country.
Yeah.
I mean, Mom, I love you, of course. But
yes, of course.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure did she give you a hard time?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
okay.
Because I rocked up at her 50th wedding anniversary with dreadlocks.
I hope you guys head straight to YouTube if you're listening to this on Apple, or to Spotify where you can watch the video so you can see how amazing you look with your dreadlocks. I love it.
do you know
Yeah,
what? It was the first time, the weirdest thing is that the first time when I got them done, I was like, now I feel like me.
that's funny.
And I'd waited
And
45 years to feel like I look in the mirror going, oh, I
yeah.
recognize that chick. Yeah.
Well, you know what I love about that? And for those of you guys, this is just a bonus little tip for you because I'm in my early 50s. You're over 45. And I completely radically changed my life at 47 and found myself. Like really, truly found myself, found my voice, and stopped caring if I didn't fit a certain mold or whatever. So I love that you said that. So for you guys who are new moms, young moms, under 45, your entire life can change at 45. You have so much to look forward to all throughout the journey. So
Absolutely.
thank you again.
Still ahead of them.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Trish.
Before we wrap up, I want to say this. If you were listening to this, if you've just listened to this episode with Áine and you've ever been told that your baby's discomfort is normal, that they'll just grow out of it, that there's nothing you can do, I hope today's conversation gave you permission to trust yourself. Áine reminded us that reflux is not just a phase to survive. It's the baby communicating to you. And when you slow down and look at the entire baby and ask why, everything shifts, not just for our babies, but for us as moms as well. You don't need to live in survival mode. You're not alone. You don't need to ignore your instincts, and you don't need to accept answers that just don't sit right for you. Áine, thank you so much for the work you do and for challenging outdated narratives. I want you guys to remember when you're in the midst of suffering, sometimes that turns into something that changes everyone's lives. Which, in the case of Áine, she took her suffering with her own children, and instead of just sitting with it, she created something amazing that will help you guys. If you're listening, go to the show notes. We have links for you. And if this episode resonated, share it with another parent, a provider, or someone who needs to hear that there is another way. As always, hit subscribe, leave a review, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.